During a routine photographic mission, a tech sergeant and staff sergeant of the base photographic team were aboard a helicopter at the time and run off several feet of film of the three objects, one of which breaks away and begins a descent. A second high-speed camera crew on the ground runs off approximately 600 feet. The cameras continue to roll as the extraordinary vehicle comes into view. It hovers, almost silently, about 10 feet off the ground for nearly a minute and yaws like a ship at anchor, then sets down on 3 extension pads. The commander and 2 officers, along with 2 base Air Force scientists, arrive and wait apprehensively. A panel slides open on the side of the craft. Stepping forward, 1, then 2, and a third, what appear to be men dressed in tight-fitting jumpsuits, perhaps short by our standards, with an odd blue-gray complexion, eyes set far apart, a large pronounced nose. They wear a headpiece that resembles a rope-like design. The commander and the 2 scientists step forward to greet the visitors. Arrangements are made by some sort of communication, and the group quickly retires to an inner office in the King 1 area. Left behind stand a stunned group of military personnel. Who the visitors are, where they're from, and what they want is unknown.
And I was involved in one of the key stories that confirms that they're not covering up, and that was the story of the Holloman Air Force Base film. This is one of the stories I put in the book, to say if you believe they're covering up, you've got to explain this. 1969, the U.S. government, Air Force, shuts down Blue Book, and they say, okay, CIA is already out of it. They've already said, we're not interested in UFOs, we don't study UFOs. 1969, the U.S. Air Force shuts it down, and what I say, they're not shutting it down, they're moving it into the black world. They're shutting down the white world to allow them to research in the black world without having to answer for every stupid UFO sighting. And so they shut it down, and at 1969, they're off the books. They say, there's no ET, there's no cover-up, there's no evidence of withholding documents, that sort of stuff, and no national security implications. And that's it. So they shut it down, and in 1973, they go to Bob Emenegger and Alan Sandler, 2 producers in Los Angeles, and they ask them to do a UFO documentary. They have 8 documentaries, defense documentaries, and at the end, we want you to do this other one on UFOs. And Bob Emenegger is a total UFO skeptic, said, what do you mean this is for real? And at that point, the security manager, Paul Shardle, at Norton Air Force Base said, what would you say if I told you that we had landed, that an alien ship landed at Holloman Air Force Base, 6 o'clock in the morning in May of 1971, and we filmed it from 3 different vantage points, 2 on the ground, 1 in a helicopter, and we will allow you to use the film for your documentary. So here you go, and what Bob said is, he's still not interested in UFOs. He watches Comedy Channel, he's not interested in UFOs. He said, these people are all crazy, there's no cover-up. I was able to go wherever I want. He went into the Pentagon without signing in. He was able to go and talk to all the Blue Book heads. He was talking to Art Lundahl, who was the big CIA guy for UFOs stuff. He said there was no cover-up. I could ask whatever I want, and it was true. He could ask wherever he wants. So he puts his documentary, and then what happens at the end of the documentary is they say, we can't use the film. We can't allow, it's the Watergate, it's bad timing, we can't allow you to use the film, and they pull the film. At least that's what I thought. Then when the film gets released, it's a documentary called UFOs, Past, Present, and Future, $250,000 from the MacArthur Foundation, and then the MacArthur people say, oh, Mr. MacArthur's having trouble with his friends. He's getting a hard time about doing this UFO thing. We'd like you to pull his name from the credits, but you can keep the money. And so here it works. So they get the money, it's a secret source for the money, comes in, and then they put the documentary out, and then I find out that there's 8 seconds of the Holloman Air Force Base film in the film. So Bob's my friend, I phone him up, Bob, there's 8 seconds of film in there. And he goes, well, yeah. And I said, you told me they pulled the film. You told me it was sent back to the Pentagon. And he said, well, it did. And he told me this whole story about the guy going across the country in this small Datsun, taking the film back to the Pentagon. I said, but there's 8 seconds of film in the documentary. And then he said the key words. He said, but it didn't show anything. And I said, oh no, he said, it's background. And I said, Background? What do you mean it's background? And he said it didn't show anything. And what it is you see the hills of Holloman, and you see this object, this brilliantly lit object at 6 o'clock in the morning coming over the hills, but it's in a distance. So you don't see it close up, and you don't see the alien when the alien gets out. That's the classified part. So they want you to know that Holloman happened, and they allowed them to use this, the 8 seconds of the film, but the rest of the film, the classified part, was pulled.
Wouldn't it be a tragedy if our first encounter with a non-human intelligence led to us acting offensively, violently, and aggressively against them? And that's what I understand is happening. I am told we, the American public, should be informed we are using high-pulse microwave weapons against non-human craft. And we are bringing those craft down so that we can retrieve them and salvage the technology. God knows what we're doing to the alien beings inside those craft. I hope we treat them with respect. Heaven help us if there's ever a reckoning for the crimes and the immoralities that we've committed in the name of national security.